Wait, don't rush to buy an air conditioner. Watch this video first. I'll show you how to build a simple cooling device yourself, quickly and without spending much. In fact, it's basically a heat pump in a simpler form. And yes, the working principle is the same. Everything is based on refrigerant and pressure difference. When liquid turns into gas, it absorbs heat. That's how cooling happens. In this video, I put together a complete guide without unnecessary theory. Just practical steps, real parts, and clear explanations. In just 60 minutes, you'll see the entire build process from start to finish. Plus, I'll share a few interesting ideas you can use in your future projects. And make sure to watch until the end. There's a small surprise, and a preview of what's coming next. Take a copper tube with an outer diameter of about 3 millimeters. We begin building the evaporator for the air conditioner. I plan to keep the device compact, so it can sit on a desk and cool your hands while working at a computer. You can also place this mini air conditioner in front of a larger fan, so the cool air spreads more effectively across the room. It is important to note that the condenser must be placed in another room or outside. I will explain why this is necessary later, along with the basic working principle. We will also briefly cover what the evaporator and condenser do. For now, let's move on to the build. Using a drill, we shape the copper tube into a coil. The easiest method is to use a cylindrical form, such as a hole saw attached to the drill. At low speed, carefully wind the tube to create smooth, even turns of the desired diameter. The evaporator is the part of an air conditioner that cools the air. This is where the main process happens. Inside the tube, there is refrigerant. It enters the evaporator as a liquid at low pressure. Then it begins to evaporate. In other words, it turns from liquid into gas. During this process, the refrigerant absorbs heat from the surrounding air. The tube becomes cold, and the air around it cools down. That's why air is usually blown across the evaporator using a fan. This allows the cool air to spread. The better the evaporation process, the more effective the cooling. In simple terms, the evaporator is where heat is removed from the room. No air conditioner or heat pump can work without a condenser. This is an essential part of the system. If the evaporator absorbs heat, the condenser releases it. In simple terms, they always work as a pair. One cools, the other removes heat. Now let's move on to building it. We will make the condenser from a copper tube. Its diameter should be about twice as large as the evaporator tube. This helps improve refrigerant flow and reduce resistance in the system. The condenser is where the hot gas turns back into liquid. At this stage, it releases all the heat it absorbed inside the room. In simple terms, it is the heat rejection point of the system. That's why it is usually placed outside or in a separate space. This keeps the system efficient and stable. Like any factory-built air conditioner, our system also has its own electrical part. And this is where things get interesting. When you work with electronics, you quickly realize one simple thing. The more complex the project gets, the more you end up fighting not the idea, but the PCB routing. I used to work a lot with 1 to 4 layer PCBs from JLC PCB in my projects. And honestly, they always impressed me. Stable quality, fast delivery, and most importantly, predictable results. But now they've taken a serious step forward. JLC PCB is actively developing 6-layer and multi-layer PCBs, and this is a completely different level. With 6 layers, routing becomes much cleaner and more logical. You no longer have to force signals into tight spaces like you do on 2 or 4-layer boards. In fact, routing density increases by about 30 to 50%, which significantly saves development time. You simply spend less time figuring out how to fit everything onto the board and more time focusing on the actual device. What's especially impressive is that technologies like VIA InPad and plus or minus 10% impedance control are now available, features that were previously found mostly in expensive industrial solutions. And at the same time, the price remains very affordable. Honestly, this slightly breaks the usual perception of multi-layer PCBs, because normally 6-layer boards are expensive. But here, JLC PCB makes them truly accessible. Plus, new users get a nice bonus, a $30 coupon. So you get a very interesting balance: professional-level performance without the professional-level cost. These boards are perfect for complex projects, IoT devices, FPGA designs, advanced microcontrollers, high-speed modules, anything where stability and compact layout really matter. They also use serious testing methods, including flying probe and 4-wire Kelvin testing, which gives additional confidence in reliability. And another important point: fast production time. In short, JLC PCB makes 6-layer PCBs accessible not only for big companies, but also for engineers and makers. And right now, you can get a $30 coupon for your first 6-layer PCB order, with small 50 by 50 millimeter boards, starting at around $2. I designed 2 different models of printed circuit boards, which also act as the structural body of the device. All the main components will be mounted directly onto them: the compressor, condenser, evaporator, switch, and other elements. Thanks to this approach, the entire system becomes significantly more compact, cleaner, and much more practical to use. In this case, the PCB is no longer just electronics. It becomes a core structural part of the device itself. If you'd like to learn more, you'll find all the additional information and links to get your coupon in the video description and the pinned comment. The cooling fan is not just an additional component, it's one of the key elements of the entire system. In traditional cooling systems, fans are installed on both the condenser and the evaporator, because without airflow, heat exchange becomes extremely inefficient. Air acts as the carrier of energy, removing heat from one place and transferring it to another. But in our case, the system is closed and built as a single monoblock, so we only use one fan, and this makes its role even more important. It helps cool the condenser, while also distributing the cold air from the evaporator. I'll be using a standard 12-volt computer fan. It's compact, reliable, quiet, and powerful enough for this application. Here's an interesting detail. Without a fan, cooling efficiency can drop dramatically. That's because a layer of stagnant air quickly forms around the heat exchanger, and once that air heats up, it stops transferring heat effectively. The fan constantly replaces this air, significantly improving the system's performance. You could say the fan is what truly brings the cooling system to life. And it will be the very first component connected to our electronic board. compressor is truly the heart of the entire system. It's responsible for pumping the refrigerant through the system and creating the conditions where gas turns into liquid. Simply put, without the compressor, there would be no cooling. It compresses the refrigerant, increasing its pressure and temperature, which is where the whole heat exchange process begins. It's very important to use a high-pressure piston compressor, and finding one in a compact size is not that easy. However, with a bit of creativity, you can even build a similar compressor yourself. For example, by taking a small gasoline engine from an RC car, using its piston mechanism, and connecting it to an electric motor. That way, you can create a mini compressor. But in my case, things turned out even more interesting. I extracted this compressor from a compact 12-volt ice-making device designed for cars. Despite its small size, it turned out to be surprisingly powerful and efficient. And most importantly, it's perfectly suited for building a compact DIY refrigerator. The control of this air conditioner is maximum simple, just a single button for turning it on and off. There's no temperature adjustment, and this is intentional. Adding that feature would require significantly more components and would complicate the entire system. The reason is that precise temperature control is a much more advanced engineering task. It requires not only additional electronics, but also proper refrigerant charging, accurate pressure calculations, correct tubing diameter selection, and overall system balancing. At that point, you're essentially dealing with a full-scale industrial design. In our case, the goal was to keep the system as simple, reliable, and compact as possible. That's why we chose a minimalistic approach. Nothing extra, only what is truly necessary for it to work. Between the condenser and the evaporator, there must always be a capillary tube. What is it, and why is it so important? Let me explain it in a simple way. A capillary tube is a very thin tube with a tiny inner diameter. Its main job is to reduce the pressure of the refrigerant. After the compressor and condenser, the refrigerant is under high pressure and in liquid form. But for cooling to happen, we need to create a low-pressure zone. And this is exactly where the capillary tube comes in. As the refrigerant passes through this narrow tube, its pressure drops rapidly, and part of the liquid instantly begins to evaporate. This is the key moment. The refrigerant starts absorbing heat from its surroundings. That's why the evaporator becomes cold. In simple terms, the capillary tube acts like both a flow restrictor and a pressure switch. While I'm making the capillary tube, here's an interesting fact most people don't think about. A refrigerator doesn't actually create cold. It simply removes heat from the inside and pushes it outside. Yeah, it's the opposite of what it seems. That's why, if you leave a fridge open and running, the room won't get colder. In fact, it will get slightly warmer because the compressor generates heat, and overall the system releases more heat than it removes. Here's another interesting point. The freezer. It works on the exact same principle, but temperatures can drop to minus 18 degrees Celsius, or even lower. And it's not because of cold magic, but because of precise pressure control, refrigerant circulation, and proper operation of all components. In fact, a refrigerator is basically a heat pump that constantly moves heat from one place to another. And the most fascinating part is how all of this is done with just a few key components. It's not enough to simply assemble an air conditioner or a mini refrigerator. It's critically important to properly connect and carefully solder all the tubes and components. Because even the smallest refrigerant leak can disrupt the entire system or completely stop the cooling process. You may have noticed that sometimes a refrigerator, freezer, or even a car air conditioner stops cooling properly. And in about 90% of cases, the issue is not the compressor or the electronics. Most of the time, the problem is much simpler. It's a refrigerant leak. For example, copper tubes can degrade over time, or connections that were poorly soldered at the factory can lose their seal. As a result, the refrigerant slowly escapes. And that's when the cooling stops. That's why this step deserves special attention. Use high-quality solder, make strong and clean connections, and don't rush this part. In professional refrigeration systems, vacuuming is always performed before charging refrigerant. This is a very important process. It removes moisture and air from the system and prepares it for proper refrigerant charging. But there's another key advantage. Vacuuming also acts as a leak test. If you pull a vacuum and leave the system for some time, you can monitor the pressure gauge. If the pressure remains stable, the system is sealed properly. If it starts to change, there's a leak or a weak connection somewhere. And it's much better to find that problem now than to take everything apart later. The final stage of assembly is charging the air conditioner with refrigerant, and this is one of the most delicate parts of the entire system. The correct amount of refrigerant depends on multiple factors: the diameter of the tubing, the volume of the evaporator and condenser, and the overall geometry of the system. Accurately calculating the perfect charge is not easy, especially in compact DIY builds. If there's not enough refrigerant, the system won't cool effectively. If there's too much, frost or even ice will start forming on the evaporator. Ideally, you want to find the perfect balance, where the system cools efficiently without freezing the evaporator. However, in our case, this is harder to achieve. Because of the small size and short tubing, the system becomes less stable. You might notice a behavior like this. The tubes freeze, then thaw, and then quickly freeze again. This happens because the refrigerant doesn't always transition smoothly between liquid and gas phases. As a result, temperature fluctuations occur, leading to frost and ice formation. By the way, many people ask what type of refrigerant I use. In this case, it's R134A. It's one of the most common and relatively safe refrigerants, non-flammable, stable, and widely used in automotive air conditioning systems. It's also affordable and works well for compact setups like this. Later, it was replaced by R1234YF, but in my opinion, it's less stable and requires more careful handling. And here it is, the final moment. The system is assembled, charged, and now we're about to see theory turn into reality. Inside, a chain of physical processes is happening. The refrigerant circulates through the system, gets compressed by the compressor, releases heat in the condenser, and then, passing through the capillary tube, its pressure drops rapidly and it begins to evaporate. This is the key moment when it starts absorbing heat from the surroundings. This is not the creation of cold. It's the transfer of energy. Heat is literally being pulled out of the air and moved away from the system. And now we can observe the result of this process. The temperature drops, condensation appears on the surface, and then frost begins to form. This is clear evidence that the system is working correctly and every component is doing its job. Despite its compact size, we're getting a real cooling effect based on the same principles used in full-scale refrigerators and air conditioners. And perhaps the most fascinating part, all of this is built by hand. And this is just the beginning. Even a compact system like this shows how powerful simple engineering solutions can be when you truly understand the physics behind them. But the most interesting part is still ahead. What happens if we improve heat exchange efficiency or stabilize the system to completely eliminate frosting? What if we add smart control and take it to the next level? That's the next step. If you're into real experiments, engineering ideas, and unconventional builds, make sure to subscribe. Here, we don't just build things, we understand how they work and make them even better.